Oh, fuck. The loneliness epidemic. What do you know about it? Here is the definition. This isn't just affecting you or me, it's affecting societies, countries, communities, friends, families, and loved ones. People are less connected as ever. What's going on? I think I can offer some insight. This book, Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, has a passage in an imagined order on page 114. I'm reading out of that. It says, humans evolved for millions of years in small bands of a few dozen individuals. The handful of millennia separating the agricultural revolution from the appearance of cities, kingdoms, and empires was not enough time to allow an instinct for mass cooperation to evolve. Despite the lack of such biological instincts, during the forager era, hundreds of strangers were able to cooperate thanks to their shared myths. However, this cooperation was loose and limited. Every sapient band continued to run its life independently and to provide for most of its own needs. An archaic sociologist living 20,000 years ago, who had no knowledge of events following the agricultural revolution, might well have concluded that mythology had a fairly limited scope. Stories about ancestral spirits and tribal totems were strong enough to enable 500 people to trade seashells, celebrate the odd festival, and join forces to wipe out a Neanderthal band, but not more than that. Mythology, the ancient sociologist would have thought, could not possibly enable millions of strangers to cooperate on a daily basis. But that turned out to be wrong. Myths, it transpired, are stronger than anyone could have imagined. When the agricultural revolution opened opportunities for the creation of crowded cities and mighty empires, people invented stories about great gods, motherlands, and joint stock companies to provide the needed social links. While human evolution was crawling at its usual snail pace, the human imagination was building astounding networks of mass cooperation unlike any other ever seen on Earth. So that dives into our hardwiring. We are hardwired to create small groupthink, right? Living in small tribes for most of human history. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. What it means to be an American, in my eyes, is as random a guess as ever. People don't feel united. People are hyper aware of the fact that each person's political views are so unique because of, in my eyes, online echo chambers, the internet in general, and just how politically divided the US currently is. So, one thing that I think everyone needs to realize is that most average working class people are not your enemy and they are not against you. They might have a completely different political view, but that's just because they think that's what's going to lead them to more happiness, more stability. Most people just want to have community, they want to have a family, they want to be able to make enough money to support themselves and be healthy, hardworking parts of society and have good health care. So, if you're blaming someone because of their political affiliation, it's understandable. We have this group think. But for the most part, it's big corporations, potentially politicians, and big corporations that are having a way bigger effect than your average person on your quality of life. That's the first thing. But we fall into this group think. It's natural. Like this Sapiens book was saying, it makes sense. I get it. I see it. But we need to realize what's going on and try to come together more as people. The next thing I'm going to talk about, the world feels very competitive right now. Tons of people are talking about this. My YouTube feed is full of people saying the cost of living, American social life, Inflation is creating a situation where if you're working a 9 to 5, you can't survive. 50, 60 years ago, most families were living on a single salary. At the moment, a lot of people on 2 income households are barely scraping by. So, how are we going to have the time to really connect with other people when we're working that much? That's one thing. Next thing I'm going to talk about is technology, is screens, technology. On Diary of a CEO recently, I was listening to a researcher talk about the effect that screens have on our desire to socialize, be around other people. Humans are social creatures. However, when you're looking at a screen, a lot of the time, it's decreasing whatever social need that we have to interact with others. It's tricking your brain into fulfilling that desire. So, what's the solution? Just cut your screen time as much as you can. Being on screens is fine. It's totally fine if that's what you like, but just be aware of the data and what it's been showing. They're making it as addictive as possible. They're making it as pleasurable as possible. It is what it is, you know? They're very useful as well. I'm not going to say that technology is, ooh, so bad. So, how do we combat the loneliness epidemic? So, what solutions do I have for you? Okay? I'm going to give you one solution because I could talk about a million things. A lot goes into the problem. I tried to break it down a little bit. There's obviously a ton to discuss. But I think back on a conversation I had with a friend of mine. He was talking to me about post-COVID, how hard it is to make new friends, how hard it is to meet new people to date. And this thing he told me that really made me think was, he said, when I was in high school, I could slowly get to know folks. I could slowly get to know them because I'd be in the same class with them for a whole semester. It takes the pressure off. Not everyone does well interacting under pressure. If you go on a Tinder date, it gives you what? 2-3 hours max to try to show yourself and be genuine and start to show how you are. I know for myself, I can't just meet a person first time I meet them and fully be myself. I think that's a lot of people. So, what's my advice? My advice is try to join something where you're going to be long-term exposed to the same people. What do I mean by that? Well, Meetup is a great app where you can join whatever interest it is you have. Could be sports groups, could be board games, could be doing art, could be mountain biking. Really anything that you're interested in, there's probably a meetup group for it. That's one thing. Another thing, your local community college. That's going to be affordable. I know it takes time. It requires time. A lot of people don't have time at the moment. But if you can carve out, some of these might just be 1 or 2 hours a week. You're going to be exposed to the same people. I saw some things online recently, and people were saying that they were doing running groups. Running groups are the new way to meet people. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Repeated exposure to people helps them connect without the pressure of needing to show yourself or impress the other person, and you can slowly take the time. So that's basically my premise. That's the one solution I have. Yeah, that's what I have. Hope it helps. Thank you guys for listening. Just go with it. Oh, fuck, Jesus Christ.